Hello everybody, I'm RENZO Mocs, and welcome back to another RENZO mock review, and today we're finally taking a look at the Robot Gang Part 2. So we're going to be talking about all the robots that I haven't covered yet. These are the bigger boys, not the tiny little boys who are little babies. These guys are the bigger boys. They're allowed to go play in the clubhouse if they want to. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first mock we have here is Ranger. Now Ranger is the most standard out of all the models. I think, yeah, he's definitely the most normal. Everyone else has a weird quirk, but he's pretty normal, I mean, for a robot anyways. Ranger was probably some sort of hunter bot or assassin bot who used to work with an old alien partner before going rogue or something, killing him, and then running off to do his own thing. So this is what Ranger looks like now. He's a bit scrapped up, which was the intention. I wanted to make him look like he was all messed up, so the legs are kind of different. He's got a different foot and a different armor piece up here. He does have this big shoulder pad, which I actually really like using these pieces as shoulder pads. They actually add a lot of like weight and muscle, even though, I mean, he doesn't have muscle, but it adds a lot of bulk to a robot. I'm removing his arm so you guys can see a little better. He does have this standard little skinny robot arm over here. This orange pad, which is probably some old scraped up paint, with a gunmetal shoulder pad up here. His head is pretty weird. It's this chest piece, and it's a pretty big looking head too, with that same sort of blade piece he's got down in his arm too. And I do like using that piece as a chest there. I really do like that add-on a lot. It's one of my favorite pieces. I wish they did more of them in more colors, but we got, what, purple and silver, which is pretty nice. He does have a little bit of a tube going up here, which is actually connected to a little bit of a gun. And I don't know if this would actually work, or if it's just a little, like, tiny shoulder cannon that would shoot, like, rays of, like, little blasts or whatever, but I don't know. He does have a little backpack there just connecting the cord to, and his gun is just a standard Star Wars blaster. He does actually have a trigger, and he can hold on to the gun with both arms from the trigger, which is kind of weird, but really easy to shoot off. It's very convenient. So I think Ranger's pretty cool, but I think I spent enough time talking about this guy already, so let's move on to the next mock. And for the second one, and probably the most basic one, we have GR, and G just stands for green because it's easier to remember. GR is very weird. He's probably more of a tactical drone. He's got little engines on his leg there, or little exhaust outputs or whatever. He does have these claws on his leg, which actually do pop off quite a lot. I don't like that. He's barely got any armor on him whatsoever besides his actual body, so he's got body armor. He does have that same sort of backpack system. In fact, I've used that piece for 3 of these mocks because it's such a cool looking robotic piece. He does have this very, very simple head, which I actually really like the look of that. It's pretty goofy, but I mean, he's a robot, so you get that one sort of Cyclops eye, which I think all these robots here actually have a Cyclops eye, which is a little weird, but you know, whatever. And really, there isn't much else to talk about. He does have these really weird long arms with these slicer blades going on there, so he probably cuts a lot. He probably chops things in half a ton. He's kind of a cool model. I wanted to use lime green in a robot, and it's a very basic, like, 2008 color scheme, but I really like it. I think these colors work very well together, so yeah, that's GR for you. Next up is 1C3, or yeah, 1C3. I think that's his name. 1C3 was actually a mock built by my brother. I asked him to build a robot for these guys, and he said, okay. So he spent, like, what, a half an hour or something just building up this model. I made some adjustments to it, and now he is essentially as good as he can get, basically. He is he's an ice-based robot, so he uses ice. He has a giant ice tank on his back, like a freezing tank, and he's got this blade arm, which is on a weird joint, but it's got this like freezing blade arm that he could like freeze people with, I guess. His legs are a little different because, I mean, he's an old robot. He does have a actual like broken handcuff on him because he probably broke out of jail. He does have this little claw hand here, and his shoulder pads are different. This actually can't move very well or else it pops off, which stinks. I finally got to use the giant armor shell for his head. This is the first time I've ever actually using that in a mock. It looks ridiculous, but I kind of like it a lot. I think the chest piece looks pretty decent on him. I think the yellow's a little weird. Not beard. He does have the ice tank itself, which is just an invasion from below ice tank. I don't know what exactly. I think he gets the ice from this, or the cooling from this. And then he does have a little bit of a buzzsaw on the back, which I don't think is for anything. I just wanted it to fill up the back. But yeah, very, very basic. He does, I wanted to kind of give him Targus's head at first, but the eye didn't look good on the top of the head, so I just gave him the standard under the eye, or under the armor shell sort of look. But I don't know, his look could change when he actually appears in a RENZO episode. But that's IC3. Fun fact, IC3 stands for ice, in case you didn't get it. Next up we have Chopper. Now Chopper is very basic, but I really like Chopper. With this guy, I kind of just wanted to build like an evil-looking death machine, and I think I accomplished that decently well. He does have these two automatic buzzsaw things that just like connect into his back or whatever. As you can see, he's got wires. He does have a little bit of a antenna there, which kind of probably helps activate the device because he's got a backpack there. And yeah, they're buzzsaws and they activate, and they're kind of cool. They don't have like a spinning feature. You just have to spin them yourselves, which is okay. He does have one beefy armor on the one side and then no armor on the other side. Originally he did have 2 bits of armor, but I just took one off because I like that aesthetic more. His head is freaking weird, but I really like it. He's using this old Hero Factory headpiece, and originally he did have a Balrog eye in there, and I took it out because I needed that eye, but maybe I'll put it back. We'll see. I probably will. There actually is a Balrog eye in his chest. If you can't see, it's red. It's kind of supposed to be like his core. It's very hard to see, actually, but it's the top one right there. It's kind of trying to make it look like he's got a core or something, but it's pretty hard to see, actually. So, yeah, his legs are pretty standard. Both of them are different. He does kind of have this rusted red leg back there with a bigger foot and then just a standard foot on this side. He's okay. I don't think he's amazing or anything. I think he's just fine. But yeah, that's Chopper for you. And finally, time for the biggest and the most manliest of the group. We have Heavy Metal. Now, Heavy Metal is the biggest. He's kind of the silent, big, strong, silent type of character. Such a fun time building this guy too, just trying to figure out how the chest would work and all that stuff, and the actual putting the foot piece on here and putting the chest on there, figuring how that aesthetic works. Look how well that blends in my opinion. That looks really cool. There are some parts I don't like. I don't like how weird the shoulders are, especially if you open up the shoulders a little bit. You can see just how empty those really are. That's because that's because of the parts I use. But I tried a lot to actually fill this guy out a lot, and he's got such a weird, unconventional build. Just looking at his back and stuff, you can see he's got a very weird build. He actually does have a head in there. It's this little Balrog eye spike mess, and he's a Cyclops. He does have the one trans orange eye, but besides that, his head doesn't move. It just kind of sits in there. It does move a little bit, but like you can't really like make him look around. He's stuck to one axis basically. He does have these sort of heat blades, I think they would be. I think they're kind of like heated up like metal blades that would like saw through stuff, kind of like an actual buzz saw, but they would just like, they're like laser swords. They're like laser swords. They cut through the walls and stuff. I don't know what they would exactly be, but there's little frick that broke off. That's why I actually think the orange from the Commander Cody body actually works on this. It's kind of like some rusted paint aesthetic or whatever, maybe caused by his own blades or something like that. He doesn't have hands, he just uses the blades. And he's got a tire on his waist, which I really like that look. It kind of gives him like a belt and makes him look a lot less skinny, which I like. His waist, or his actual like legs, are pretty small until you get to the bottom part where they're just massive, and then if you just turn them around you can see all this stuff. It's definitely a lot less. Yeah, he does have one silver and one gunmetal one, but yeah, he's a big guy. He's the biggest out of all of them for sure. Heavy Metal he is. I'm talking like Yoda for some reason, but let me just grab Ranger and just show you the size comparison. So yeah, Heavy Metal's pretty big, but again, he's kind of just this strong, silent type who kind of does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He's just that kind of character. But I like Heavy Metal a lot. I think he's he's interesting. He's not my favorite, but he's got a nice like look to him, and I really just wanted to make a gigantic robot guy to add to these robot gang characters. So yeah, that's heavy metal. And that is it for all of the Robot Gang Part 2. These are the bigger boys, and I gotta say I like these guys a lot better than the small boys. The small boys have a lot of personality, and so do these guys. That's kind of the thing I wanted to get down. I love making random mocks. You guys already know. I'll throw together a weird-looking alien, and I'll give you guys a review. I love doing that kind of stuff, and the robots, they still count. I was able to have a lot of fun building these guys. I built 10 in total, and I really like them all. I think they all have a place in my heart. I really like every single one of them. I think my least favorite is probably IC3, just because he's not very, or not IC3, 1C3. Just because he's pretty boring. He doesn't have much to. I like the idea, but he's just so standard. Other than that, I like most of these guys. So, and I don't say that too often. I try not to be like, I love this mock, but I mean, I can admit when I like a mock, even if it's not very good. I can admit, hey, I actually really like this mock because I like building it or whatever. So, yeah, that's just my perspective on things. But I hope you guys like these mocks too. And yeah, that's actually it for all the robots, I'm pretty sure. So I think we're going to be moving on to either villains or aliens next. So I'll see you guys next time when we take a look at whichever one or whatever. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.